We continue 2022, which has henceforth been known as the year of Colin Baker, where the Sixth Doctor has yet another release, but this time it is a multi-Doctor story with the 10th Doctor, played by David Tennant, and it's a Weeping Angel story written by Lisa McMullen. This is part of the Out of Time series. It's a trilogy of 10th Doctor stories. We've got Out of Time 1, which had Tom Baker as the 4th Doctor. They were facing the Daleks. We had Out of Time 2, The Gates of Hell, which saw the 10th and the 5th Doctor fighting the Cybermen, and now we've got Out of Time 3, where 10 and 6 are facing the Weeping Angels.
Even more of me!
This is a story where the 10th Doctor and the 6th Doctor land on a planet, which is basically a planet which is surrounded by, 10 hot white suns. So they're in a great big white landscape and they can't see anything. They actually have to bring a shadow lamp in order to see around them to try and dim all the light around them. But because there's so much light, you can't actually see anything at all, and the people on the planet do not have sight. It leaves it a bit ambiguous as to whether or not they even have eyes or anything resembling eyes on their face. You can kind of use your imagination when listening to this audio story, but either way, it's a planet full of people with no sense of sight, and the Weeping Angels are there. A villain which can only be stopped when you're keeping your eyes on them. So you try and figure out how those people are meant to be able to survive an onslaught of Weeping Angels. So the 10th Doctor encounters the 6th Doctor in this great big white void, because the 6th Doctor has in fact been zapped back by an angel, and if you know that these angels who feed off time energy, they're going to absolutely adore being able to feast off the time energy of not just two Time Lords, but the same Time Lord. But let's play a quick clip of the 10th and the 6th Doctor meeting each other.
Statues. Statues. Keep your eye on that thing.
Doctor?
Yeah, I know. Don't blink.
No, there are two of them.
Right, well, two of them, two of us. I've had worse odds.
Angel to the left of us, angel to the right.
Here I am stuck in the middle with you.
Oh, you're one of those doctors, are you?
Sorry, not the time. Let's reverse towards the TARDIS. Get to the doorway. Keep your eyes on the angel. You back in first.
What in the name of Rassilon have you done to my windows?
Look at the angel!
Any idea how we reach the door controls without losing sight of one of them? How long is that lamp going to hold out?
Well, hopefully, long enough for me to do this. Come on!
Is that a key fob?
Remote control. It's good, isn't it? I like the little beep. A little more appreciation, if you don't mind. We just escaped two of the deadliest time assassins in the universe.
Yes, very good.
There's a lot of fun banter between the 6th and the 10th Doctor. Now, the Weeping Angels have always been a really interesting villain in the realm of Big Finish, and I do think this is one of their stronger outings in the audio medium. There was a 5th Doctor as part of the New Monsters Classic Doctors range, which I thought was alright. It was a 5th Doctor story where the Weeping Angels were around the time of Michelangelo, where he was carving statues, and that was where it completely tied in there. Now, Out of Time 3, it's hard to review this story on its own without comparing it to Out of Time 1 and Out of Time 2 and doing any sort of ranking. We did get a super chat earlier on from YACK, a €2 super chat asking this same question.
Wonderful chap. All of them.
Out of Time series wanking? No! Wink wank! Out of Time series ranking after the Wink review. Stay on target, folks, stay on target. Now, you folks will know I reviewed this on stream last year, Out of Time 2, The Gates of Hell. Honestly, I cannot remember anything about The Gates of Hell, other than the fact that the 10th Doctor and the 5th Doctor do make reference to the fact that they've met in Time Crash, and I think Mark Gatiss was in it. But Out of Time 1 is my go-to recommended story for, getting into Big Finish. Or if you just want one story without any sort of preamble and setup, Out of Time 1 is terrific, and I think that Out of Time 3, Wink, ranks in the middle of these two. I still think Out of Time 1 is better, because it is a much more straightforward story which allows the 4th Doctor and the 10th Doctor, chat, stay on target, stay on target. I do remember that Out of Time with 4 and 10 having some really great interactions with each other, because it was a much more basic and bare-bones story. Out of Time 3 is much more timey-wimey, is a lot more complex. It's something that's quite easy to follow because the characters do actually stop and explain what is going on so that the audience aren't lost. And Lisa McMullen does a really great job in the script of actually making it accessible, even though it is quite complicated on the face of it. But because it has to exposit so much in Wink, it means that you don't get that much in the way of character between the 6th and the 10th Doctor. There's some great banter and some interplay between these two really egotistical doctors, and we're joining the 10th Doctor. Like, the beginning of the story makes reference to the fact that he is hurtling towards his final days, and he's doing everything in his power to avoid that. And if he keeps on talking, if he keeps on playing the hero, then that doesn't have to come to an end. And the 6th Doctor is intuitive enough to pick up on that insecurity of the 10th Doctor, and I think that works really, really well. However, outside of that, you don't get that much 10th and 6th Doctor interplay, which is quite disappointing, because this is the selling point of it. Now, the Weeping Angels, though, are really strong villains. You get one of them who is voiced by Clive Hayward. He normally played a character called Dax at the beginning of the story, but Dax's voice gets possessed by the Angels, and there's some really sadistic behavior from the Angels, how they're really toying with the Time Lords, and you hear lots of baby cackling and baby laughing, implying, weeping angel babies. Some really creepy stuff that adds to the lore and to the power sets and the abilities of the Weeping Angels. Now, Out of Time 3 is still a really good story. It's a really good 10th Doctor adventure as well. It does seem like, though, that the 6th Doctor gets a little bit shortchanged, doesn't really get that much to do. The moments that he does get, though, do hit really strong, and I really appreciated and enjoyed it. There's actually stuff in here that I'm going to remember, as opposed to Out of Time 2, where this only came out a year ago. I genuinely don't remember anything about it. It loses a lot of the character dynamics that Out of Time 1 had, but it still makes up for it in a much more interesting setting and a much more interesting story. There's some great sound design with the Weeping Angels, allowing them to work and transfer to the audio medium quite seamlessly, and they are still quite scary here. I really enjoyed them there. And when it comes to the setting as well, this planet that is bathed in sunlight, with the exception of maybe an eclipse that happens every few decades. It's a really great setting for a story, and the citizens of this planet have 5 senses, but they don't have sight, they have intuition, and they're able to use that to intuit how many Weeping Angels are around them, how far the distance is and the drops below them. It's a really cool setting. I do think that the supporting cast, though, Padilla and Estra, played by Aisha Antoine and Joanna Van Kampen, they're basically characters to say, "Doctor, what's going on? And help us, Doctor." It's no fault of the actors, but these are quite bare-bones supporting characters to mainly move the story along. There's a really great scene, though, I will admit, there's a really great scene where the 10th Doctor sends them both to the TARDIS and say, press the big red button when you get in there. Sorry, press the big green button when you get in there, I should say. And then they get in there, and it's like, oh, we can't see where we're going to find the big green button. And then when the 6th Doctor meets up with 10 again and says, where have they gone? Oh, I told them to go to the TARDIS and press the big green button. How are they going to see that? And then the 10th Doctor's like, oh, I've done something wrong here. That was quite a fun interaction. I also really liked the behind-the-scenes interviews with the box set as well. I think that they actually did get David Tennant and Colin Baker either in the same room or in the same Zoom call to chat about their characters. There was a really nice back and forth between the two. Really enjoyed it. So yeah, this is a solid release. It's not like I unambiguously recommended Out of Time 1, but it is still a really strong story. If you like 10th Doctor, if you like revived series Doctor Who, because I think that's really the selling point or the main reasoning for these releases, these Out of Time releases, to sell Big Finish and classic Doctors to a new audience. This is a really good entry point to Big Finish. I think Out of Time 2, if it comes with a bundle, sure, get it. But Out of Time 1 and Out of Time 3, I do recommend. Out of Time 3, strong release, genuinely scary with some really good world building and a really great and inventive setting. And there is some really good interplay between 10 and 6. But because they have to establish this new world, the timey-wimey aspect of the Angels and how they defeat them, it means that some of the interactions that you want with a multi-Doctor release get pushed to the wayside, almost by necessity. This maybe could have been 10 or 15 minutes longer, I think Out of Time 3 is like 50 minutes long. It could have maybe benefited from the extra 5 or 10 minutes, just to give 10 and 6 more to do with each other. There's a lovely final scene, but it doesn't come close to topping the final scene in Out of Time 1, which almost like brings a tear to my eye every time I listen to it. We still have the 10th Doctor dealing with their impending mortality, and Out of Time leans into it much more, and it's all the better for it, whereas Out of Time 3 kind of plays lip service to it. It's still a strong release, and I do really recommend it. It just sounds like I'm being more negative about it because I'm comparing it to Out of Time 1. Like, it's only in the shadow of Out of Time 1, which is one of my favourite Big Finish releases in recent years, that I have a slightly more negative vibe to it. But I don't want that to colour your opinion on the story as a whole, because Out of Time 3, Wink, is really good, and I do really recommend it, especially if you're after a more budget Big Finish release, because this is just a 1 hour story with a behind the scenes feature that comes in a collector's edition CD or on download, instead of a full 3 hour box set, which is a bit harder to recommend. If you're new to Big Finish and you want something brand new to pick up and dive into, especially if you're into the revival, I unambiguously recommend Out of Time 3. But also check out Out of Time 1. I keep saying this, it's so good.